beg his food. With a begging bowl, he would go beg his food. But he had such a stately and saintly and godlike appearance that people would invite him in. And after they ate, he would discuss philosophic matters and spiritual matters. And that way he won many converts. And I'm reading from Sheldon Cheney, people who have walked with God. And he would try for every person to help that person liberate self. That's the answer, folks. Liberate self. Can you tell me how to do that? Liberate self. That's the answer. This is Holy Week. This is Tuesday, April 3rd. Thursday is Monday, Thursday. Sunday is Easter. This is Holy Week. We have to liberate ourselves. The doctor said to Harry, "You mustn't mow the lawn. You'll have a heart attack." So Harry went home and he said, "Son, will you please mow the lawn?" The son said, "Yes, Dad. I'll start immediately." Harry had a heart attack. There is no Savior who can take upon himself another's burden of slavery to sins. Slavery to sin. What does that say? Slavery to ego. Slavery to desire. You want this, you want that, you want this, you want that. You always want something. Slavery to sense. One's burden of impurity. A burden that can be cast off only by what? Self-conquest. Woo! Self-conquest. Conquest of self before conquest of others. Cast off the burden. No parking at any time. Okay. And so slowly the tugboat pulls the barge up the river. Which way is the river flowing, folks? Can you tell? See the wave motion. See the amplitude. It's a longitudinal wave. The wave is in the direction of the motion. God, you do a great job running this world. Oh God, you do a beautiful job running this world. The sky is blue, and tonight we'll roll around away from the sun, and tomorrow we'll roll around and face the sun again. You do a great job running this world, God. God, what are you working on today? God is working on expanding the universe. Is that so, God? Are you doing that? Hubble says you're doing that. Hubble and all of his friends says you are expanding the universe. Is that so, God? If it is so, with what in mind are you expanding the universe? What great glories do you have in mind? This beautiful earth is on autopilot, isn't it, God? Earth rotates, it brings us day and night. The earth revolves around the sun and brings us spring. And daffodils and dandelions. Forsythia. How you love yellow, God. How you love yellow. It's a beautiful color. Self-confidence. You know, we could become so immersed in the greatness of God's creation that we wouldn't think of self. We could just love it so much, we wouldn't think of self. A burden that can be cast off only by what? What did you say? Self-conquest. When a train comes by, folks, it'll be an Amtrak, and it'll be coming from Manhattan, and it will be going north to Albany, and thence to Burlington, maybe, thence to Montreal, thence to Buffalo, thence to Cleveland, thence to Chicago, Detroit. Beautiful trains. That's another great creation of yours, God. I'll shut off the camcorder and I'll read this next paragraph, and you and I will discuss that and see if we can find an impetus to self-conquest. The famous author was asked, "What do you consider your greatest work of fiction?" And he said, "My income tax form." Now, during the 3 months of the rainy season, Buddha would stay in one of the parks that some king gave the order, or the bamboo garden, for instance. And then, after early rising, you know, early to bed and early to rise is likely to make a person get his own breakfast. After early rising and after his purification down at the stream, he would retire to solitude and meditation. And you know something? That's like electric potential. Electric potential is the work it takes to bring a charge, an electric charge, from infinity to a given point. So what is the work? The work is meditation and solitude. And you take this electric charge, and you call this electric charge a happiness charge. And you bring it from infinity. What's infinity sound like to you? It sounds like God. And you bring this happiness charge, this electric charge, to a certain point. This happiness charge. And if you bring a few of these happiness charges to your certain point, what have you got? You've got a current. A current. A current is a flow of electric charges. A current of happiness is a flow of happiness charges. How did you get that? By doing work. And what was the work? Meditation and solitude. Isn't it sweet? So you're an electric current of happiness. And a current is measured, first of all, how much is an electric charge? It's a coulomb. A coulomb. And a coulomb is 6.25 times 10 to the 19 elementary charges. And that's what you're doing. And a current is measured by an ampere per second. And then Buddha, after he did his meditation and his solitude, he would go to the Great Hall, or in the early days under a tree, and he would tell people how to find happiness. And the only way you find happiness is by expunging yourself. Resolving the doubts that the monks had, strengthening the always loose structure of the brotherhood, answering their questions, clarifying the doctrine. What was the doctrine? The doctrine was no desires, no self, overcoming the senses, not being led around by wants and cravings. Nice, huh? Nice. The man walked into the restaurant and he said, "Is the chef in?" The waitress says, "No, he went out to eat." Three ropes were walking down the street. They went into a restaurant and the head waiter says, "Aren't you ropes? We don't serve ropes here. You'll have to go out." And out onto the street, one of the ropes got very angry and he tied himself into a knot. He tied himself into a knot. And he tousled his end. He went back into the restaurant and he's ordering and the head waiter says, "Aren't you a rope?" And he says, "I'm afraid not." This book was published in 1945 when the war in Europe was raging, when millions were being killed by guns, by grenades, Sheldon Sheedy, publisher Alfred Knopf. You look at the Hudson River, I'll read this next paragraph, see if there's anything there that'll help you with find the Holy Grail. His response when the disciples asked him to take action against the envious ones who tried to hurt him was this: hatred can be overcome only by non-hatred. If a person shall do me wrong, I will offer in return my full love. The greater the injury the person attempts, the greater must be the good I offer in return. A truly virtuous person cannot be injured. Isn't that true, folks? If you're truly virtuous, and if you're truly one with God, nobody can hurt you. Remember St. Paul said that? Remember that? Nothing can separate me from God. Remember that? One who attempts an attack upon him is like a person who flings dust at another while the wind is contrary. I like it, don't you? God, you did a great job making this world. You did a great job running it and putting it on autopilot. What else are you doing, God? We talked about you might be expanding the universe. Are you making creatures much better than us people? Creatures who love, who are good, who are kind, who are sweet, who are selfless. People who spend their time serving others. Better creatures than human beings. Human beings, I guess, Homo sapiens, are a start. But it's a long way to go. There's a few Homo sapiens out there trying to lead the tribe who are selfless. People like Buddha, who do contemplate the happiness of every living being. He contemplated the happiness of every living being. He wanted every living being to be happy. There are a few out there leading the tribe, the pack. But somewhere in your millions and billions of planets, you must have creatures that are so far superior to us, Homo sapiens. love which from our birth over and around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of every hour, morning, noon, and thrills at night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of eye and ear, for the mind's and heart's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the love of family, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, every word that's tender and well. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. The Hudson River, south to Manhattan, north to Albany, New York. And across the river, Ulster and Greene counties. Greene County and Ulster County. And what county are you in right now? Columbia County, state of New York, United States of America, the world, the universe, the YouTube. There's a train that goes south at 5:30 in the morning, I think. No, I guess it's 6:30. And the next one is 7:30. It takes 2 hours from Hudson, New York to Manhattan, Penn Station. And there's one at 9:30. I think there's one over. Here he comes. Here he is. Gotta go get him for you. Here's what I'm waiting for. Here he comes. Oh, good. You got to see one. Oh, I'm so happy. Isn't he beautiful? Isn't he a great creation? No, another 2 hours for another one. Unless one's coming south. He was going north. Oh, I'm so happy. That's what I wanted you to see. I'm sorry I turned the camera upside down. He wasn't going very fast, was he? How far is Hudson from here? About 8 miles south. Now where's he going to stop next? He's not going to stop again until Albany. How far is that? About 40 miles north and east. Listen to this, folks. Listen to this. This is beautiful. In his administration as leader of the Brotherhood, the enlightened one. Let us be enlightened ones. What is it to be enlightened? First of all, we know the truth. Selflessness. Happiness. Simple job in life. Spread happiness. The enlightened one was successful as only the saint, utterly devoid of selfishness, envy, and ambition. Can be successful. The enlightened one was successful as only the saint, entirely devoid of selfishness, envy, and ambition can be successful. His transparent purity, don't you love it? Transparent purity. His serenity. And his majestic bearing created an atmosphere in which pettiness and minor differences melted away. That's a picture of you. That's what you are and what you are going to be.